presentations because I want to stay on a kind of a good schedule here. So we have two presentations today for mass notification purchases. So we have Everbridge first, it's going to go from 2 to 2:30, and you should have picked up at the front their proposal, and then also some questions that was asked. What I did is I went through 10 different companies, and I chose the top 2 that I thought were important. And so that's who you're going to hear today. At the end of this meeting, you guys are going to make the decision on who we choose. So this is a mass notification, and if you want to get to an area that you can see, so if you guys are over here, make sure that you can see here and vice versa. Just scoot your chairs around so you can see, because she's going to present what Everbridge does for us, okay? Questions before we start?
Cindy, you couldn't turn the lights off down there.
Oh,
Make
yeah.
that a little brighter.
Will you turn the lights off? Oh, she's got it. Anybody else want those lights on, please?
I don't know, it might make a difference. That helpful.
That help? Even maybe behind you guys. And Shoshana, I'm going to let you introduce yourself, okay?
Thank you, I appreciate it, and good afternoon, everyone. I know that getting everybody together at the same time in the same place is always a feat, and especially to come here and look at the system. So thank you for your time and the privilege, honestly, of being able to present the Everbridge platform to you. My name is Shoshana. I'm with Everbridge. I have Dale Brummer on the line as well. He is our field engineer. He's a technical specialist on the system, and I wanted to make sure that given the opportunity, we are able to address each and every one of the questions that you have today. I'm going to run through a couple of slides here. I am going to give a lot of information to you. A lot of this covers the proposal that I handed to you as well. And hopefully we'll be able to address all of your questions and give you a very good, thorough understanding of the system. Of course, I could go a mile wide in an inch deep or an inch deep and a mile wide. So if there's anything that we can always address, I know that I will do my best to address anything and everything here today. With that being said, I'm going to put a little speed under this and try to make sure that I respect your timeline as well, getting everybody in within the hour. Everbridge has been in the industry for 13 years. We do and have only done emergency notifications. We are dedicated specifically to emergency notifications and mass communications within the industry. That is, unto itself, definitely a feat with regards to our commitment to the system and to the purpose of mass notification. We have over 300 employees, and we're actually still in growth mode. And what that means to you is, I know that this is a long-term investment because we're looking at, specifically with the proposal that I submitted 9 years, and with that, it is definitely something that you want to make sure that longevity of term is something that you're going to have supported throughout the duration. With that, the 13 years behind us and the 300 employees and growing, it's definitely something that we commit to with regards to being here now and the future of your account. We have, at this point in time, over 3,000 clients. Over 1,000 of those are specific state and local government. That's huge. With that, we have an expertise with regards to state and local government. We have people here who work specifically day in and day out with government throughout the country. We have recently gained certification from the Department of Homeland Security as a DHS telecommunications service provider with a priority level 3 certification. So this is from the Department of Homeland Security, and what this means is that in the event of a major disruption of telecommunications services, Everbridge has priority in restoration of our lines. And what that means to you is that if the lines are impacted, our lines will be given priority for restoration above and beyond, just about, above and beyond some of the other options out there. We are level 3, so what that means is that we're right behind the national security leadership and essentially the acronym agencies, the FBI, et cetera. So what that means is that with regards to having a restoration, we are right in line with that. We are considered public safety and health. This is a snapshot of some of the current clients and partners that we support with mass notification. You can see here that we work in several different verticals. Of course, government being one of the largest verticals that we support. And you can see here, our system is scalable, meaning that it really can support the client size. Of course, many of our clients are 30,000 and above, but it does scale, as you can imagine, like an accordion up to support an entire statewide rollout, as we do have within the state of Connecticut. And that's a full rollout for the entire state of 3.5 million people. We also support the Department of Homeland Security as well as the IRS, GSA. So we have experience throughout federal and local government. With regards to the Gartner report, the Gartner report essentially is a review of all mass notification systems out there. Gartner is a consumer report for the IT and software industry. And what they did was put out an RFP for all emergency notification providers, and they said, please respond back to us, and these are the parameters. Everbridge responded to CC 2012, and the way that you can look at the rating here, the way that they score is that they go from the bottom left-hand corner and make a diagonal line all the way up to the top right-hand corner. The higher you are and the furthest to the right you are, the higher the rating according to Gartner. And you can see that Everbridge in 2012, Everbridge was considered the leader within the space in 2012. I'm going to jump forward. This is the report that was released last year in March of 2014. So in March of 2014, Everbridge again was the leader in the industry, and this is not something to be taken lightly. The response that we provided to Gartner was nearly 900 pages long. So it's a rather exhaustive and extensive review that they've done of all the platforms available. And of course, we're quite proud of being made the leader within the space. One of the reasons why we are a leader in the space is the fact that we have several patents, the least of which being our confirmation for preferred contact devices. And what that means is that when your citizens register with the system, they tell the system the best and most appropriate way for the system to reach them in these notification events. So you can see here as a visual, each of these citizens have registered with the system. Alan, Dave, Phil, Sue, they've all told the system the best way for the system to reach out to them. When the system sends out that first attempt for notification, each Alan and Phil have confirmed receipt of this notification on their end. This does twofold. This, one, allows the system to know that they've been counted for. Two, your citizens are not being inundated with notifications repeatedly from the system during that same notification event. You're also alleviating that call load from your infrastructure. So when that first attempt goes out, it's going to reach out to everybody. Now that Alan and Phil have confirmed receipt of that notification, they are no longer on that call. They've been accounted for, and you've alleviated that load upon your infrastructure system. The system also will tell you who is still outstanding and as confirmed. What that means to you is that you now know who is outstanding and who's accounted for and what your next step needs to be during a critical event. Do you need to resend and follow up specifically to these outstanding persons who have yet to confirm? Or perhaps you know that they're in an attack area and you need to get boots on the ground to go knock on doors and make sure that these citizens are okay. Whatever the case, the system is going to reflect the status of each and every one of the citizens on that call notification. One of the things that Cindy and I spoke of prior to this when she was initially looking at the system was the ability for the Everbridge system to throttle the calls so that we do not overload your circuitry and infrastructure. Everbridge can absolutely do this, and we'll work with Frank here and make sure that when we send out those notifications, when we work through the testing with you, and we're going through really dialing in and customizing the system so it's reflecting Del Norte County's needs, we will do so with a focus on your throttling. The system itself can throttle down to a building level. So when we're looking at the county level, we can go to that level. We can then even drill down further to Preston City and make sure that we're throttling down so we do not send all our broadcasts is going to overwhelm your circuits there. And then, of course, if you have a business building, you know that the business building has so many extensions, so many lines in. We can throttle the system specifically to the business buildings in the area. And this is something that we'll work with you hand in hand during implementation to make sure that all of your needs and your customization is reflected with your account setup. Now, speaking of implementation and account setup, one of the things that we will do is work with you on your data management. Of course, we can supply your white pages. We can take any bulk uploads that are CSV, whether they be citizen-facing, 911 records, employee records, any records that you have of groups. We can help support the upload within the system, and of course, make sure, again, that each and every one of those persons are identified within the system itself. So with regards to a functional needs registry, we can help identify your persons who are listed on the functional needs registry. Those persons will be identified within the system. So if and when you do need to send a notification out specifically to your functional needs registry, whether they be power dependent or mobility impaired, you can have that identified within the system and send out messaging specific to those citizens or any other employee groups that you need to reach out to at that time. Now, with regards to the account, once and hopefully you decide to move forward with Everbridge, we are committed to being a partner in this account with you. Everbridge has a 98% client renewal. So when their accounts do come up, when those contracts do expire, 98% of our clients renew with us and move forward with that Everbridge partnership. One of the reasons why I truly believe that 98% client renewal rate does exist is because we are committed to this unique success for you. Our Everbridge University is an online self-paced university. Each and every one of the users can access the system 24/7, so whether they do day shift or third shift, they will have the same quality training and certification available to them. If you hire somebody on in 1 month, in 5 years, the system will be available to them and they can take the training as needed. So this is an ongoing commitment to your account. Our implementation team will walk with you from the beginning to make sure the system is set up correctly, that your contact database is reflecting what your needs are, and of course that we've dialed it in specifically to reflect and customize what Del Norte County's needs are. Our customer support is live. It's located in-house. We have live operators manning the phone 24/7, 365. In any event, if you do not have access to the system, you can call our operators. Our operators can initiate and send out the notifications for you. And then, of course, our dedicated account manager. With your account, you will have an account manager assigned to you. That account manager works specifically with state and local governments, counties and cities, all day, every day. That is all they focus on. When you have that person assigned to you, you know that you are getting a resource that really is unparalleled with regards to anybody else in understanding mass notification. Most of our account managers have been with us for years, and they are amazing resources. And when I have questions to the system, I oftentimes find myself turning to them. Our mobile manager app is what is available to you as an administrator with regards to sending out notifications on the system. This is available on all iPads, all tablets, all iOS and Android operating systems. You can access the system, you can pull down your templates, your libraries, and you can send notifications directly from your pocket on the Everbridge platform. So this is available to you and send you something that you and I didn't speak to. But the other day, you were driving home and you were on your cell phone and you lost reception. And I understand some of the challenges that face rural counties. I'm quite frankly from a small county myself in the Pacific Northwest. And it got me thinking with regards to having some of those challenges built around being rural and having some of those rural challenges that you're facing. And something that's not in the proposal there that I want to add in addition to is our mobile member app. And this is something that I'm going to tie into what the offering is that you have standing. I want to build this into this, and what you're going to have available to each and every one of your citizens is an app for both Android and iOS operating systems that is designed specifically to operate on low bandwidth. So this feature will allow your citizens to both receive as well as initiate notifications into the administrator. And it's one more pathway that you have available for your citizens here. Now, what the stats are with regards to the having the system available is 91% of all cell phone users have smartphones. So I'm going to do a direct translation to that and say 91% of your citizens who own cell phones are going to have availability to this mobile member app. And that I'm going to put in and build directly into the proposal that you have in hand right now. With that being said, I'm going to go through just a couple of minutes. I'm going to show you the system itself, and then of course we're going to leave it open to a Q&A on the back end. A lot of information I'm throwing at you, so please, if you have questions, write them down, and hopefully you'll be able to address each and every one of the questions that you have. When your operators, when your administrators log into the system, they'll have a dashboard available to them, and you can see on the left-hand corner, and I'm not sure what your view is, you have a contact records by record type. And if you can read that, you'll see that there is an identification for your CERT members. There's an identification for your employees, your opt-ins, your oxygen dependents. However it is that you feel you can help identify and best support your citizens and personnel, you can allow for that identification to be created within the system. So there really is no confinement to that level of granular identification. And we'll help support that and set that up with you. You also have your notification review, and you can scroll down and see the most recent notifications that have been activated and what is currently ongoing. This is live, this is real time, and if I speak long enough, you'll notice that these pie charts will actually flash. The system reaches out automatically every 30 seconds to pull back any new confirmations, the one that we were speaking to earlier, any new confirmations that are arriving in the system during, and this is ongoing. But during an active notification, the system is reaching out for you. It is not something that you ever have to worry about because it is live time and real tracking for those confirmations on that notification. Now I'm going to jump into the universe itself, and hopefully the screen is catching up with regards to what it is that I'm going over here.
Yeah, it looks fine.
Okay. And what we have here, this is Crescent City, and this is just some information of addresses that I was able to pull down from your Chamber of Commerce. And you can see here that these are all dots that are identified and specific to those contact types. So these are your functional needs, your opt-ins, etc. I'm going to show you how very easy it is to send out a notification itself. And I will try not to intersect the polygon onto itself, which is, I've got one of those ergonomic mouse that doesn't always want to work with me. So I've just now created a shape. And this can be, you can upload any shape files. If you have GIS, you can also upload any of your GIS files. We can also do precision GIS mapping within the system, lat long. With that, I'm just going to show how easy it is to send out a notification from here. So on this notification, I have just chosen an impact area, and we'll consider this flash flooding. I'm going to pull a message template, specific flash flooding, and I'm going to now say that this is a high priority message. So I have chosen the impact area. I have chosen a message template, and you can create a library, and we'll help support that with you, of any of the events that you have identified as critical impact for the county. You can create and put that notification template directly into the system and house that as a library for easy access. These are also highly customizable, and make sure when you're looking with regards to allowing for that editing and that customization, that's something that you definitely want to have available to you on the fly, and this is for each the mobile manager as well as the PC version. So you can really get in here and put in any details as needed. So I now have my flash flooding, I have my messaging, The system itself is going to do a text speech. I can also include a voice recording if necessary. I'm going to choose for the system to do a text to speech. This is going to be a standard messaging, but I can allow for polling, which would allow for my citizens to respond to any one of the options there. I have evacuated, I am evacuating, or I need assistance in evacuation. So I can actually now initiate two-way communications with my citizens. They can press option 3 and tell me that they need assistance and we need to get boots on the ground to go respond to their location. And then, of course, conference bridge, and this is something that would be for any one of the stakeholders on the system. If you know there's a flash flooding in the area, you have stakeholders who are all responding or need to be made aware of the situation, the system will call out up to 96 people and have 96 people on the line within a matter of moments. So you can make that plan and have exactly everybody on the same page in a matter of moments. You can add additional contacts to here, whether they be groups or individuals. If I needed to add further groups onto the system, I can allow for all of fire and all of PD to be included on this notification. So I now have my map of the people as well as the groups that are included. I'm going to scroll down to your settings. These are default. I'm now going to hit send. This is just telling me that I did not add recording and to allow this to be a text speech. I'm going to say yes. I'm now sending out my notification to the contacts in the impact area and the group source stakeholders within this event. With that being said, some of the things that we also discussed were the ability to do text messaging. The system itself, with this one notification, you can send, this is sent out to each and every contact pathway. It is the same notification for each and every contact pathway. When you make an edit on this one notification, it will edit the message to each and every delivery method. With that being said, that is a very brief overview to the system. I think that's probably the most concise and shortest presentation that I've done. But I want to allow for respect the time that you have on the docket today and allow for any questions that you have standing at this point in time.
Okay. So they've all had the proposal, so they have really done their homework hopefully and seen what really Everbridge does. This is just a really quick down and dirty of what it does and how quickly it works. Questions that you guys have for Cassandra?
I will mention that this is what the hospital uses. We have Everbridge.
So Jeremy from Sutter Coast Hospital is saying that Everbridge is what they use. Okay?
And thank you. In my rushing to make sure that I'm addressing everything, absolutely, Sutter is a user of Everbridge, and it's the entire Sutter healthcare system, and we've actually had a very long-standing partnership with them.
Any other questions? Yeah.
That brings up one of the questions I have is that if you have two entities that are needing your services at the same time, how do you prioritize? If, let's say Sutter and us are both using it, and we're both sending out messages, how's that work?
Did you hear him?
I didn't hear the entire question, no.
So he's saying if you have two users like Sutter using you and Delaware County using you, how do you prioritize of who's going to get that service first? How does that work?
Well, the Sutter bandwidth is going to be much smaller than an overall notification for the entire county, so there's not going to be any rivalry as far as a priority in messaging. Both of those messages will go out. So the system itself will not discriminate between either or, and it's going to be very few instances where there's going to be that full all-out point bulletin on both systems at once. With that being said, once we work with that throttling, we'll make sure that when the system is going out, when those calls are going out, there's not an overload on the system, and we'll reflect that during that throttling that we spoke of.
And Mr. Dale, from a technical point of view, we have fully redundant, geographically dispersed systems that are capable of expanding on demand so that if there was an event where a lot of our customers in Northern California had to use the system, we could even temporarily grow the system and bring in dynamic resources in order to send them. And we've tested much of that capability, and we also have a fairly robust SLA. We can send out 300,000 voice notification attempts and 600 text notifications attempts per hour. So we believe we can support your needs.
And you guys were involved in the Boston bombing, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
And with that issue, I mean, it worked well, and there's a lot of praise for how it worked at the Boston bombing.
And just recently, we did the same kind of notification volume in a short period of time. Remember that the Northeast of the United States had a weather issue. Well, over a few days, we sent well over 4.5 million messages out through our system, with about 600 of our customers doing that.
So can you guys talk just a little bit, we have quite a few of like sheriff, fire, and those type of big people in the room, and talk about how they could use that on an everyday type of situation for paging out for fire calls and things like that.
Absolutely. The system itself, we will allow for unlimited groups and departments to be set up underneath the organization. So you'll have groups specific to each department. So the sheriff can have their own group set up underneath the organization, and you can utilize this specific for your personnel. You can have this housed in dispatch, or you can have administration users on the sheriff's side and send out specifically to each and every one of your end users. And we have this actually living in dispatch throughout the country. Within dispatch, if you need to send this as a redundant text for call out for any calls that you have that are live, you can absolutely utilize the Everbridge platform to do so.
Similar to I am responding?
Very similar, it would take the place of I am responding, and every fire department would be able to use it. So that's a big push.
So there's no limit on how many different types of messages or programs per day you could use?
No, this is, so can you explain a little bit about that on the usage and that type of stuff, Chandra?
Absolutely. It is unlimited users, unlimited groups, and unlimited messaging and communications. So we will not limit you. The system itself, we hope that you use the system and that you adopt the system and you use it widely. That is our hope and our support of you. So if the sheriff and fire wanted to each adopt this independently and utilize the system in-house on a daily basis, we absolutely support and request that you do so.
Okay,
And I'm sure you can see from what I've done here how truly easy it is to go in through here and send out this notification to specific groups and create a notification literally on the fly.
Okay, another question. Terry.
Like I am responding, when you do notifications, is there a button to hit back? And very similar to that program that says I'm responding, or I'm delayed, or I'm not responding. Does your program do
So
that?
that is something that I would recommend that you have as a polling option. So you can say, I am responding here, or I am responding in 15, right?
Yeah, we do responding now, we're gonna be delayed or not responding at all is what we do with I am responding. So he's from a search and rescue point, and he wants to know is can he track that real time and see, can dispatch tell him that, okay, you got 5 people coming versus 7. And that's what you're talking about right there. So you can make
Each and
that
every
tier
one of
whatever you
these.
want.
Exactly. Each and every one of these, you can build a template that has those responses built into it. And you will see.
We would recommend you use the mobile manager app to even do that as well.
So we do the same thing then?
Yeah, absolutely. Except you can even make it, you can say anything you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can type anything you want in those spots.
We didn't need the group.
Exactly.
Fire department could,
So fire department
create their
could
own-
create their own template, yes?
and on a
Yes.
phone app or something like that, remote in the field. or-
And on the field, the fire chief is asking, he could just do that from his iPad sitting in a field, do the same thing, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
And you could set it up to do reports. You respond to them and they put out reports.
You actually seeing what, in real time what happened afterwards, how many responded, those types of things? Is that what you're talking about?
On the replies, yes, you would. It is real-time tracking of those responses. So you would see I am responding and all personnel who have pressed 1 for I am responding, you would have real-time reflection of those responses.
And that's just like in evacuating our community. We could hit RECWA, draw a circle on RECWA and say, you guys are going to become isolated for up to 2 days. And then you can actually see how many people have been reached and who hasn't been reached. And those are the people you can send search and rescue door to door to, you know, so you can narrow it down even.
Is there a trial period?
I don't know, is there a trial period? I don't think so, right?
That's not part of the conversation we've had this far.
Yeah.
The other question I have is, that's all based on the self-service working.
That's all based on self-service. And so this is truly, a mass notification for Delaware County is not going to be the all-hell disaster. It really is not. Where it's going to be is we have that planned power outage, we have that storm that's coming, we have flooding that's happening, wildland fire coming down. That's what we're purchasing this for. Yeah.
Now, Cindy, could 2 agencies be utilizing this at the same time? Can the sheriff's office be contacting their people while fire's using a different system?
Yes.
Contact their people at the same time?
Yes.
Different message.
Yeah. Any other questions?
What happens when the power goes out?
When the power goes out, we have to have internet service, right, Shoshanda? That's how this whole thing works.
Well, we're also working on landlines. You're probably going to have people who are still, even if power's out, they're still going to have life in their cell phone batteries. And if you guys can't get a hold of the internet, you can contact us and we'll send out that notification for you. And with that mobile member app, it's a low bandwidth app, so that'll be one of the best ways that we'll be able to reach out to all of your citizens as well.
Excellent.
Is there a ham capability?
Ham capability.
Amateur radio?
No, I don't see how that would be. It's not on radio system. Other questions?
Cindy,
Yes.
does the big providers, Frontier, Charter, providers, and US others have been contacted to see if the infrastructure can handle it, so it doesn't take 5 hours for a call to come
Yeah,
in?
so we brought Frontier in on it, and their biggest discussion was, you know, they only have so many trucks coming in.
Right.
And these guys and the thing with these guys is they've worked with so many other small little communities all over the world, including California. And so like Curry County handles it just fine. Humboldt County handles it just fine. So with so many people moving from landlines to cell phones, the way it was in the past where everybody had a landline, we couldn't handle that. With Frontier, they assure us that they can handle that type of situation now. But what I like about Everbridge is they have the power to throttle back and not crash us. That's the big, huge thing for Delaware County, I think. Other questions? We gotta head in and get to the other one. Okay, I think we're good, Shoshandra, unless you had anything else to add, we're gonna bring in the next one.
I'd like to,
Well,
Wait, one more question maybe here.
fire department calls, if we generate a call, is it possible to generate a call sheet on there and then download it?
Is there any sort of reporting?
Is there any reporting capabilities of getting a report after you've done a notification of what happened with that?
absolutely. It's very easy. I just pulled it up right here and I'll create a report for you right now. I'm literally going to drag and drop the data fields that are required for this report. I've now created a report. I can create filters on the bottom. And I can, at this point, run this report. I can save it in either PDF or CSV. I've created a report for you on the fly, and I'm now compliant.
Good you, that was very quick. So yes, that's a yes.
Who does all this? Dispatch?
Huh?
Who does all this? Dispatch?
It can be any administrator that we choose to do that. So the fire chiefs would absolutely have that authority to do that.
And we have 6 different levels of permissions available to you. So your dispatch is not going to have the same access and view into the system as your administrators are going to have available to them.
Other questions? Okay.
No other charges besides the total price she said here, right?
Yeah, she's quoted us for 9 years, and that's how much we have for our grant for this right now. One, the ability to pay in advance, so that, but she also said that any technology that changes in those times, it's going to be adopted into us too, so that's.
So, but I mean, it's like, we don't have to buy some $10,000 switch.
No.
There's no hardware, and I've also added into that, should you decide to move forward, which I hope you do with Everbridge, I will include that mobile member app, and as, if that were a standalone, that's nearly $9,500 just for the mobile member app. But after the conversation that you and I had, Cindy, and you launched that call for that cell coverage, I wanted to make sure that we were able to address all of your concerns with this proposal. And I think that that mobile member app really does add above and beyond kind of where we were discussing and letting your citizens have that low bandwidth, meaning you can really, as long as you can, have one bar on your phone, you can utilize that mobile member app, and that's exactly what it was designed for, is low bandwidth rural areas.
Okay. All right, well, thank you very much. If we have any further questions, I'll give you a call offline, okay?
I will be here, and I appreciate it. Thank you, all of you, for your time. I do appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you. Where's my soda at?
You last time drive away.
Oh. Okay, let me get Nick from Raven. Any questions, you guys, with Everbridge yet? It really,
My question is the training, who provides the training?
it's all included in there, and they have a university that you actually sign on to and use that training. Yeah, so if you got you have a new employee at 2 months in, they can get on there and attend that training. And that's all with that.
Who's Dan? He's not silly.
It's not silly.
Maybe a question for,
You can have more than one phone number that rolls over. You can have cell or personal. I know at the hospital, if it doesn't get you on the first try, we'll try the second number, and the third number, text, or email.
But it doesn't overwhelm the system either. If you respond, like I'm responding, we'll keep doing it, just like Kayden will keep doing it. So it doesn't overwhelm us. It'll stop calling that number once it's been received, and so it won't overwhelm our system too, so.
have you had any problems using it?
The biggest problem honestly is just keeping the list up to date. And so we test it, use about once a quarter, make sure that we've got the right phone number, if somebody moves, Sutter, went to the job, got a new person, make sure that they're added.
Welcome. This service is provided
And they
by
will read
freeconferencecall.com.
white
Please enter your access
They will work
code
with us
followed by the
about
pound
trying to
sign.
get people to register their cell phones and do special things too, so that's all included. And so I want to have a big rollout.
You entered 6, 9, 8, 7, 8, 7, 8. If this is correct, press 1. Should you are the first caller, you will be placed on hold until the next caller arrives.
Hey Tim, my phone is back there, would you grab it?
Robin Payne, Cornerstone Assembly of God, and search.
Keep going that way, Leonard.
Name's Leonard Smith, Delaware Amateur Radio Club in Search.
Craig Bradford, Big Rock Community Services District, Comanche.
Lonnie Southern, Gatsby Neighborhood Communicators.
Dennis Louis, North Coast EMS, sir.
Jimmy Allard, I don't know,
Mike Poole, National Park Service, CERT, CAM, and radio.
Pete Craig, Morrow School, Gatsby Fire, CERT.
Cliff Shepard, Big Rock Community Service District, Coyote.
Charles Winton, Big Rock, LaPro Fire.
Don Wayne, Search and Rescue.
Terry McNamara, Sheriff Search and Rescue.
Wyoming Hills, Central Fire Protection District.
Public Health Nurse Health Services. Colleen Machado, Department of Health and Human Services, Public Health Branch Nursing.
Tessa LaFazio, Smith River Rancheria.
Lopez County.
Jay Serena, Delaware County Administration.
Rick Toma, California Highway Patrol.
Jim Wilson, Humboldt Transit Authority.
Ed Fulton, County Delaware.
Dean Galatiero, EOC and Airport.
Dan McCorkle, County IT.
Kai Heifetz, American Red Cross.
Catherine Hernandez, American Red Cross.
John Nicolini, National Weather Service.
Ricky Ozaki, National Park Service. Kimmy Scott, City of Crescent City.
Eric Apperson, Sheriff.
Tim Sanderson, York Tribe.
Lonnie Raymond, Probation.
Buzz Borlastic, Gas and Fire.
Steve Wakefield, Crescent Fire Protection District, and Crescent City Fire.
Eric Coladas, Pelican Bay State Prison.
Margaret Caldwell, Climate Community Service District.
Tom Deloach, Delaware Ambulance.
Charles Tweed, Delaware Ambulance.
Ron Sandler, Portage Fire.
Jim Buckles, Delaware Agriculture and Animal Control.
On this, Delaware County Road.
In the back here?
Jeremy Davis, Civil Hospital.
Charlie Helms, Crescent City Harbor District.
Tim Yates, Sheriff's Office.
Diane Key, registered nurse, Department of Health and Human Services, Public Health Branch.
And Bill Stevens, Sheriff's Office.
Okay, good. I have one number off, so let me dial back in with them. Sorry, Nicole.
Welcome. This service is provided by... You entered 69878. If this is correct, press 1. To re-enter, there are 2 participants in this conference. Please announce yourself.
Hi, Cindy.
Hi. You are on speakerphone with about 50 people. So when you're ready, go ahead. Your screen is up.
All right, very good. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Cindy, just want to check audio-wise. Are you guys able to hear me okay there?
You guys hear okay? Marginal, you might speak up a little bit higher.
Okay, yeah, I'll definitely try to talk loud. If I do come down in my phone at all, just remind me to speak up. So thank you all again for joining. My name is Nick Wells. As you can see on my screen here, I'm an account executive with Rave Mobile Safety. Also on the line with me here from Rave is Scott McGrath. Scott is our public safety solutions architect for those of you who may be users of the system. If there's any more technical questions on what happens behind the scenes, Scott will certainly be available to address any of those questions as well. Just to level set, Cindy, I know we have 30 minutes starting now. Is that a hard stop at the 30-minute mark?
Yeah, let's do Q&A like the last 5 minutes, okay?
Okay, so yeah, I'm going to move through this at a pretty brisk pace. I do have a brief PowerPoint presentation to get through, a little background on who we are as a company, a little more context around the product we're going to share with you today, which is called Rave Alert. And then ultimately I'll finish up with a real quick demonstration of how the system would be used to send out emergency notifications. So with that, I will get started. Just last to confirm, Cindy, you're able to see this Rave Mobile Safety screen okay?
Yep.
Okay, great. So again, the company is Rave Mobile Safety, and the product is Rave Alert. We are a public safety software company. So we've been around over a decade. Everything that we do here at Rave is developing software solutions designed for public safety. So you can see we work and provide this solution to a lot of higher ed institutions. Schools like Stanford, UC Davis, locally in California use this system. We also obviously provide this solution to state and local agencies such as Delaware County as well. We are very closely aligned with the public safety industry standards bodies. So we have very close affiliations with the folks at NENA, the National Emergency Number Association, APCO, International Association of Emergency Managers. We vet all of our technology out with these standards bodies before we ever take them to the market. So we are well known in the public safety industry, and obviously, as you can see by the number of clients, we do have a national footprint at this point. In fact, just last week, the city of Seattle actually selected Rave as their emergency notification provider, which we're very excited about. So again, I know you probably just came out of a presentation that on the surface might sound very similar, but ultimately we're here to assist you in communicating with your community in a timely fashion during some sort of emergency event. So, you know, at the end of the day, we all realize that these things take place, whether it's a weather emergency, whether it's a chemical spill, a wildfire, an earthquake, an act of terrorism, whatever the case may be, ultimately these things happen. So being able to quickly and reliably get that message out to your citizens in the community is extremely important. More so, being able to get that message out in a timely fashion. And that's what this system I'm about to show you here today is designed to do. So again, the program is called Rave Alert. It's an emergency notification system. It's a multimodal notification system. So that means when the county administrators who are using the system, when they go to send an alert out to community members, all at the same time, they can do so via text message, via email message, via voice call. We can update social media accounts associated with the county. We can update county websites via RSS integration. We can also use CAP integration for things in the counties that are already in existence. So something like a PA system, a siren system, any digital signage. Again, via CAP integration, we can activate all those systems as well with one push of the button. Now, this is a hosted solution. There's no hardware or software that gets installed on site. It's mobile responsive, so your administrators can access and initiate alerts to the community on any device where they can connect to the internet. So whether it's a desktop, a laptop, a tablet, smartphone, again, if you can get online as a user of this system, you can get in and send alerts to the community. Now, we also have 24/7, 365 customer support. So we do have a support hotline staffed by domestic rate employees. If there were ever a catastrophic event where, for whatever reason, your infrastructure was down, you can't get on the internet, you can call our support hotline. We would run your administrator through a quick Q&A just to confirm they are who they say they are. And in that circumstance, we actually have the ability to initiate an alert on your behalf. So we give you plenty of different methods to be able to get this message out to your citizens. Now again, we understand we're not the only vendor in this space. Again, I know you just saw our presentation. You may have seen similar things in the past. And we get that on the surface that they all sound very similar. So from a feature perspective, we can check off, all of those boxes that most of these other vendors can. We talked about that we provide that 24/7, 365 customer support. That's very valuable to our clients, knowing that they can always get a radio service team member on the line if they need assistance. We talked about the multimodal approach. We're certified through FEMA to use this system for IPAWS notifications if the county ever becomes IPAWS compliant. We can send broadcast alerts to the entire county. As I'll show you, we can geo-target based on specific regions within the county. And we can even send internal notifications to, county staff members, the local police department, so on and so forth. We provide detailed reporting in real time, so every time you send out an alert, you'll get detailed metrics on, how long it took to deliver messages, how many websites were updated. You can see any responses. So the system is bi-directional. So citizens can reply back to text and email alerts. You can prompt responses on a voice call, for instance, press 1 if you need help evacuating, press 2 if everything's okay, things of that nature. So it is interactive between the sender of the message and the recipient of the message. It is two-way in that sense. Lastly, the system is also multilingual. So our user registration portal translates into 80 different languages. So if you're going in to sign up, you could certainly do so in your native language for your residents. Also, when you initiate an alert via text and email, we can translate those text and email messages into 36 foreign languages. So if there's some diversity among your population, your citizens could certainly go in and register to receive their alerts in their native language. Now, again, what I really want to focus most of my time on here, and I know we're limited, is what we do a little bit differently here at Radiant that we feel sets us apart from some of the other vendors in this space. A lot of the vendors in the market today, they collect a robust database of phone numbers and email addresses, and they'll dump them into a system. When an emergency comes, you can indiscriminately blast out a message to every phone number, every email address that you have in the database, and you can let those citizens know that there's something going on. Now, is that valuable? Sure, it is. You want to get that message out. However, what we realized over time is that simply blasting out a broadcast message is not enough. And that came to light in Superstorm Sandy here on the East Coast several years ago. There was a major lawsuit that came because they found that New York City did not make proper accommodations for the vulnerable at-risk segments of the population, either elderly citizens who may not be able to evacuate on their own, folks with a medical dependency on electricity, folks that did not have access to transportation, things of that nature. And because they didn't plan accordingly for those vulnerable at-risk segments of the community, they were slammed with a very, very large lawsuit. So at RAVE, what we do a little bit differently is we actually empower the citizen to take a proactive involvement in their own safety and preparedness. And we do that during the registration process. So I'm going to show you a screenshot of what it would look like to sign up, but basically you would direct your citizens to go to our registration portal, and they would go ahead and sign up to receive emergency notifications. Now at that point, if all they want to do is provide that phone number and that email address, well, that's their choice. If that's all they want to provide, then so be it. Give us your phone number, give us your email, and we'll send you messages when we need to. But additionally, we empower the citizen to share any additional critical information that they want your county officials, your emergency services officials to be made aware of. It's voluntary. The citizen has total control over how much or how little information that they may want to share. So for instance, this is all demonstration data, these aren't real citizens, but let's say, Ralph Rutland was a citizen of Delaware County. Well, when he signs up to receive alerts, we'll prompt him, hey, Ralph, Delaware is using the Rave Alert system. Would you like to share additional information for emergency services in the event of an emergency? They can simply choose yes or no. Now, let's say Ralph, in this example, said yes, he would like to share additional information. At that point, we will prompt you to answer a series of questions that we've vetted out with FEMA. So we have a standardized list that can be customized based on your preferences in your county, but generically it would be questions like, do you have food and water supply for 72 hours? Do you have access to transportation if we need to evacuate? Do you have a medical dependency on electricity? Things of that nature. And again, it's entirely up to the citizen. You choose which questions you want to answer and which questions you do not. So for instance, Ralph could choose to provide a photograph of himself. He can tell you how old he is. He can give you his home address so that if he does need evacuation assistance, you'll know exactly where to locate him. Individuals can include medical information, so if you have any special medical needs that you want the emergency services folks to be aware of, you can include those there as well. There's a tremendous amount of information that you can share. And why that's important is, as I show you the system, your emergency services folks can take that information that you volunteered, again, it's entirely voluntary, but any information that your citizens share becomes queryable within our interface. And I'll show you an example of that, but basically, let's say, there was a major wildfire approaching, you needed to evacuate a certain segment, if not the entire county. Well, Cindy or her OES team could run a query and say, hey, show me everybody within Delaware County that's told us they do not have access to transportation for evacuation. When she runs that query, we'll present her back your profile that you've entered that information into on a map, so she knows, hey, here's Ralph Rutland, he lives at 50 Main Street, he's noted that he does not have transportation. So it's designed to allow for your emergency services team to allocate their resources in the most effective way possible to address the needs of the community. So that's kind of the model we go by: prepare, communicate, respond. And all of this needs to happen in a timely manner. So the prepare piece, again, is the citizen registering and providing any additional information that they would like you folks to be aware of. When it comes to sending out these messages, that's obviously the communication piece. As we talked about, you can send a countywide broadcast message to everyone who registered to receive alerts. I'll demonstrate how we can geo-target alerts for specific segments of the county. We can identify specific groups of individuals to send notifications to. And you can also use this for internal communication, whether it's county staff, local police, fire departments, hospital systems, so on and so forth. So we just talked about Seattle. So this was just a mock scenario that we drew up for them. The example that we would share here is a severe earthquake in the metro Seattle area. So this is just kind of a sequence of messaging that they may want to send out. We talked about the broadcast, the geo-target, the individual group messages. Here would be an example of that in real life. So let's say, that earthquake hits downtown Seattle. The first message they may want to geo-target is this metro Seattle area. So they might want to send a message to everybody that falls within that boundary. Hey, there's been an earthquake. We have evacuations taking place between Union and I-90. There's gas leaks, power outages, extensive damage. Now keep in mind, to send that message,
you can do so via all of the modalities that we discussed. So text, email, update websites, social media. You can use iPods to tap into the cell phone towers if you're using iPods. So a number of different ways to communicate that message out to those folks. So we've alerted everyone at Metro Seattle of that incident. Next, we might want to make everyone in the surrounding communities aware. So outside Metro Seattle, we might tailor our message a little bit differently. Hey, FYI, there's been an earthquake, please shelter in place, avoid heading into downtown Seattle, there's power outages, extensive damage. So you might tailor a more broad message for the folks in the surrounding areas, but the ability to individually target is where this becomes so powerful. So again, the emergency managers in the city of Seattle could run a query and say, hey, show me every citizen in Metro Seattle that's told us they do not have access to transportation. You run that query, as you can see, we'll present those folks back to you on a map here. You can then initiate a customized message to those particular citizens that you know need your assistance. So for instance, we know that Ralph, Jay, Maria, and her son, they all need assistance evacuating, so we can target them with a specific message. Earthquake, do you need transportation assistance? Press 1 for yes, press 2 for no. So that's where that bi-directional notification becomes extremely important as well. This is just a look at that citizen sign-up portal that we talked about, the registration portal. So it's extremely user-friendly. The sign-up process is very intuitive. You see, we give you what we call a profile string. So we'll tell you, hey, there's more information you want to share. We'll be proactive. In this example, hey, Matthew, do you have any emergency contact information that you want to add to your profile? You can put in those household details, address information, emergency shut-off points for the fire department, the nearest fire department, access codes, spirit key information, just endless amount of information that you can choose to share if you would like to. We'll also proactively let you know what type of alerts you're eligible to sign up for in your region, and you control and manage all of that data on your own. Here's another area where we really feel we set ourselves apart from some other vendors in the space. Obviously, part of the biggest challenge we hear across the country is getting citizens to actually take the time to go ahead and register and sign up to receive notifications. So at RAID, we're going to work with you to help spread the word throughout the community. So we have a dedicated community marketing team. Each one of our clients is assigned a dedicated community marketing manager. That marketing manager is going to work with you to constantly help provide and promote the system within your community. So we run campaigns every couple of weeks, if not multiple times a month. We'll do things like Preparedness Month. We'll provide templates. You can send out flyers in the mail. We'll leverage, those vulnerable at-risk segments of the community. So we'll work with advocacy groups. We'll leverage existing relationships. So, if you work closely with the school department, we have a lot of school systems that send home flyers with the children on the first day of school or with report cards, encouraging the household to sign up to receive notifications. We do a public launch. So we'll invite the local news media down to announce the service in the community. We'll run that news story on the local news, which spreads the word and gets folks encouraged to sign up. Again, we'll connect with folks like the Council on Aging. If you have relationships with, faith-based organizations, you can send flyers home with electric bills or water bills. We provide a tremendous amount of web content that you can share. So we put web badges that you can put on the county website, the sheriff's website, the local PD, local fire website. We have strategic social media campaigns that we run where we'll provide content that literally the folks in the OES office can copy and paste, push out on the county's Twitter and Facebook sites. So we're constantly putting content out there in the regions where we have our clients to promote the system locally and encourage folks to sign up. And that's where the adoption rates tend to be much higher than some of those vendors that don't have that dedicated community marketing team. And with that, I know we only have about 10 minutes left, so I want to actually show you folks the product. What I first want to show is for the folks in the audience who may actually be users of the system. I want to show you what it would look like to get in and actually send out an alert. And then for folks who may just be citizens of the county or not, I just want to show you an example of what a query would look like when Cindy or any of her staff ran a query on the local population. So, Cindy, can you just confirm that you're seeing this Grave County Emergency Management site?
Yes.
Okay, so this is just a placeholder. We build a custom branded site for each one of our clients. So this would say, Delaware County Emergency Management or Delaware County Office of Emergency Services, have your logo, your colors. You can control all the content that's displayed down bottom here. You can have an unlimited number of administrators that have access to this system, and at a very granular level, you can control exactly what administrator can access what within the system. So for each role, you can assign permissions and control who can send out what type of content via what type of communication modes. So I'm going to go ahead and log in here via my username and password. Again, this would just be a bookmarked site that you would have stored and ready to go. You can see when I come into my site here, we can have an unlimited number of alert templates that are pre-built. You can pre-record your voice messages. You can have the text and email messages built and ready to go. And we can get these out in as few as 3 clicks of the mouse. So, for instance, maybe it's a severe weather notification that we want to send out. We have this template built. We use this with some sort of frequency, so we log in, we push send, we push continue. We always provide one last confirmation screen before you send that out, but with the third click of the mouse, you've just sent that notification off to all 30,000 or so citizens of Delaware County. So that's how that process works there. Now, you can edit these templates on the fly if you need to. So just because you built the template, they are not set in stone. You can make changes as necessary. But you also may encounter a time where you need to create an alert from scratch. So let me show you that process here real quickly. You can see on the right side of the interface, we have this tab that says Create Alert. We've designed this to be as intuitive as possible for the user of the system. It's a 3-step process to create an alert. We've even color coordinated that process for you. So first step is to name the alert. We'll call this Delaware County Alert. You'll notice when I stop typing, number 1 changes from yellow to green, which is an indicator that you can move on to the second step, which is to simply choose your alert method. So you can see all those modalities that we talked about stack up from left to right across the screen. You simply click and add as you see fit. So if you want to send a text message, you can click that box. You'll see our text window opens up. I can start typing my message. Text message for Delaware County. Now what's important to point out here is that we send our text messages out in XMPP emergency format. So those get priority routing. They get delivered much faster than a standard SMPP message. However, they do restrict us to 160 characters on those text messages. So we will count those down. Your administrators will always know how many characters they have left. And what you'll notice is my text message is going to act as a base for each other method. So, for instance, if you know you have a message, it's an evacuation instruction, it's going to go beyond 160 characters, you can put your baseline message here and then simply refer your citizens to email for additional information. And pardon any typos here. That's important because as I move on down the line, you'll notice now when I come over to add my email, I click that box, 2 things. First, the alert name carries down into the subject line of that email. My text message also carries over into the body of that email. So with an email, you'll notice you have 10,000 characters to work with. So if it's that detailed message, you can just back this line out and start adding far more information here as it becomes necessary, and we'll count down the characters for you there as well. And then on down the line, if you want to send a voice call, you click voice. You can use text-to-speech conversion. We get very good feedback from our clients on how that works. However, tonality can be extremely important. Citizens might not understand the severity of the situation just via text or email. So we always allow you to record your own voice if you would like to. Down bottom, you notice we have these voice profiles. All this voice profile is doing is determining the characteristics of this particular call. So for instance, if you have some citizens that don't answer their phone on the first try, how many times do you want to retry those individuals? How many minutes do you want to wait between the retry calls? Once they do answer, how many times you want that message to replay on the loop. You can even customize the caller ID so it comes through to your citizens from a number that will be familiar to them. And then on down the line, for the sake of time, I'll stick to text and email, but RSS, you can update websites, Twitter, Facebook account, tab, iPods, so on and so forth. But for this example, we'll stick to text and email. You'll notice number 2 is also green. I can move on to that third and final step, which is to simply choose who I'm going to send this message to. So I can simply click Add. By default, you can select all. We talked about the fact that you can have an unlimited number of lists or groups within the system. So let's say I want to send this to all of my county staff members. I want to send this to my emergency management list. I also want to make sure that Nick Wells gets this message. We can search out specific individuals. You'll notice as I click and add down bottom, they're being added to my targeted recipient list. I simply click save. You'll notice number 3 is now green. So just like before, I can go ahead and continue on. Again, we always provide this last confirmation screen. This acts as a sanity check, if you will. So we'll show you how many residents you're sending this out to, the title, the content of the message. If that all looks good, just like before, you can go ahead and push send. If this says 14 and it should say 14,000, well, maybe we slipped up somewhere along the way. At this point, we always allow your administrators to go back and make a quick edit if they need to. Now, what I'm going to do is just show you, for the citizens that may be in the room, how you can select your delivery target based on that query. So let me just back up here. You'll notice we have this Smart Prepare tab. Now, the state of Arkansas uses Smart Prepare across the entire state, so this is just a demonstration map. If you deployed the system, this would simply be a map of Del Norte County. Now, again, depending on the information citizens have provided in their profiles, that's the information that can be queried by your OES officials. So you can query based on address information, individual information. We also allow you to put information in about pets and livestock. Pets are an extension of the family. Folks want to make sure they keep them safe as well. But let's focus on the people. So, Arkansas is Tornado Alley. Maybe Little Rock's expecting a tornado. There's going to be severe power outages. There's going to be some evacuations. So they want to find out under this people tab, who in Little Rock or who in that region has told me they have a mobility limitation. Whether they're bed confined, maybe they have some other type of mobility impairment. We need to find that out. We also want to find anyone who has a medical dependency on electricity. Again, the power might go out, so we want to find anyone who told us, they're on home dialysis, home oxygen. Maybe they simply have medication that needs to be refrigerated. You can see as we check these boxes, that's being added to our search criteria up top. Lastly, maybe we want to identify everyone who's told us they do not have access to transportation. We check that box. Once we're happy, we can simply push this run query button. Now again, across the entire state of Arkansas, you can see we get back over 1,000 matching results that are presented here on a map. Now, we can get very granular, even down to one block of the community, on how we want to identify these folks. So I come back here and hit edit, clear that out. When I click this draw tab, I can now drop some custom points on the map. So I really just want to focus on this Little Rock area. I don't really care about the people this time in Fayetteville or Jonesboro. This is really the area that's going to be impacted. So I drop those points. You'll notice I'm running the exact same search query, but this time, the only information that presents back to me is folks that fall within that boundary I've drawn. So right away, down from 1,000 plus, we're down to 300 matching addresses. So we know that all 318 folks here, in some way, shape, or form, are going to need additional assistance. So at this point, we can set them a custom alert. You'll notice when we get that query and we run it, this send alert button becomes green. We simply click that button. You'll be notified how you're leaving Smart Prepare to send this query out as an alert. If you have 318 addresses, 313 of them have opted in to receive notifications, so you continue on. You can either send a templated message or just like we did before, create one on the fly.
Okay, we gotta wrap it up, Nick, okay?
Yep, and that's it. And that's all I wanted to show you. And that's how you can custom message those citizens. I'll open it up, sorry if I went over, to questions at this point.
Okay, questions for Nick? Yes.
How is the original database for this system going to be set up? So the landlines, obviously there's an existing database at the phone company.
But given that cell phones are not tied to a specific address, how are you going to load up all the data for all the people? For instance, a person may live in one address and work in another address, and when this notification goes out, how are you going to decide who on a cell phone number gets the notification? Is the company going to build that? And once it is built, who maintains it? Does the company maintain that? Is it all done through a voluntary computer input?
Did you hear that question there?
I did. Good question, and I'm going to answer that in two parts. So on the landline side, we can absolutely load in all of the landlines that are available from your existing database. If you already have those from the phone company, we can certainly take those landlines, load them into the system. So regardless, if any of those citizens go in and actually add additional information, you'll at least be able to contact them via a voice call to that landline. Outside of the landline data, this is all voluntary, so it is an opt-in solution. The citizen is responsible for inputting and maintaining all of that information. So if you recall, we have that citizen sign-up portal that those folks would go to register. We do require the citizen to keep the information updated every 6 months. So when they sign up to receive alerts, there'll be a confirmation process that they have to go through. As soon as they confirm that account, that starts a 6-month timer. So we actually have a proactive reminder process in place. So for instance, around the 4-month marker, we might send Cindy, for example, a message, hey Cindy, it's been a couple of months. Please make sure the information in your rave safety profile is up to date. If they ignore that reminder and they get to that 6-month marker, we'll actually send them an automated voice call. Hey Cindy, it's been 6 months. Need to update your rave profile information. Press 1 now to confirm it's still up to date, or please go in, access your profile, make any appropriate changes. Now, once they either confirm it's still accurate or go in and make an update, that's going to restart that 6-month time. So we never are going to present you any data that is outside of 6 months fresh. But in terms of inputting cell phone numbers, household information, work locations, that's all done by the citizen. They input that data and they maintain the data.
Okay, other question? Yes.
I have a comment on this one. I spend most of my time in the National Park Service answering telephones and trying to direct people to websites, and the number of people who are dumbfounded just to enter in an email address and go to a site appalls me. And I'm a little concerned as I watch this that the people that need this service the most would not be able to do the computer data entry that is needed to make the call.
Sure, that's a valid concern. It's obviously something we've heard before. The elderly population may not be as tech savvy, and there are things you can do to get around that. So one example that we've had a number of clients do is, again, our marketing team will engage you and come up with ideas. One thing that we've done is we've worked to help coordinate, sign-up days, where maybe you go to a local senior center, you have a local police officer, maybe somebody from the county OES department, whoever it may be, they set up a few workstations, bring down a computer, the elderly citizens can come out, provide you their information. You can actually input that data for them. Now, there is a confirmation process in place, but it's as simple as scheduling a phone call. So they can give you their home phone number. You can schedule it for a specific time. So, hey, when are you going to be available to answer a phone call to confirm your information? 6:30 p.m. Great. We'll automate a phone call. They simply pick up the phone and press 1, and that information that you've input on their behalf becomes active. We did that at a senior center here in Massachusetts during a flu shot clinic. We had a couple hundred elderly folks come up and sign up for the service coming out from their flu shot. Also, caregivers and family members are always encouraged to create a profile for their relatives who may be at risk or vulnerable. So you can certainly have a child, a grandchild who is a little bit more tech savvy, go in and register that information on their behalf. And then a lot of it just comes down to marketing, making sure it's clear as to what they're signing up for, the type of information that's required, and understanding how that system is going to be used. So it really comes down to that marketing support that you're going to get to help get as many of those folks into the system as possible.
And that's with every company. That's something that, you know, they can pre-populate to a point, and then we have to do that marketing. We have to open up and, you know, say, okay, at Crescent Fire, you come in to get assistance in signing up at this day and this time. We just got to do that marketing and make that happen. Okay, other questions? Yes.
Sorry, Cindy, just one more point on that, is that, you know, if those senior centers have landline phones, which I'm assuming they do, again, we can load in those landlines, so even if that senior citizen has a landline but doesn't go in and add anything else, you can still contact them via phone call to that landline at the very least.
Okay, other questions? Yes.
The system overload.
System overload, do you have the ability to throttle forward, throttle back? We're concerned here in Delmar, obviously.
Yeah, and Scott, maybe I'll defer that question to you if you can address the throttling.
Yeah, there's a number of options available for throttling. If you're talking about internal county PBX chunks, we have some ability to do some fine tuning to make sure we're not oversaturating your inbound lines. Otherwise, the system does automated throttling based on algorithmic detection of congestion events. That might be feedback from regional switches or local switches that have, that are suggesting a slow response time or circuits busy type signals. And the system goes into an auto throttle mode at that point to preserve each call, make sure that each call gets sent. So it's a combination of those things, algorithmic for the kind of regional aspect of things, and then potentially the ability to tune if you're having inbound trunk capacity issues with inbound calls.
Okay, other questions?
How does this system interface with our CAD system at the dispatch office for 911 calls?
So is there interface between 911 calls?
Does the dispatcher have to type what's in the CAD? Does she have to retype that? Do they have to type that?
So they're talking about, right now we do iron responding, and we use that in our fire departments to tone out for fire departments and they get a text. And we have it in our dispatch center that we can just go from the CAD system, we can hit a button and it picks up that information that's already been put into the CAD, as, you know, address and where it's going to. So would that, do you have something capability for that?
We don't have I think the direct CAD integration, except in the context of the Smart 911 product set. But there is, so for example, the NYPD uses us for call-out type activity at the police desk, so when they've got to deploy a SWAT team or special units, they've got the ability to do that. So typically that would be done within the, in a kind of an open interface. We have some extremely simplified versions of the interface that can be deployed on the desktop, on the CAD workstation. And then it's just simply kind of cut and paste to send it off.
Okay, other questions?
That system you just described, we don't have that type of native integration with CAD.
Okay. Other questions?
One more for me.
One more.
When they showed the description of identifying who the people were, such as they don't have transportation, showed up to 390 people in that particular town. Once an alert is sent out to that particular town, and the people put on their I'm evacuated or I am evacuating, does that take their name off that 390 so we don't think there's 390 people that need transportation assistance? Or
So like a real-time reporting?
Is down to 100 that actually need it?
Like a real-time?
Yes, detailed real-time reporting. So if you saw, I didn't have time to get to it, but there's a reports tab within the interface. So as those responses come in, you'll see them in real time.
Okay.
They stack up their timestamp on when that response came back in. So it's very easy to navigate that reporting interface and identify who's responded with what message. You also get detailed metrics on performance in terms of how long it took to get your text, your email, your voice calls out, and all of that. So we have very, very detailed reporting, and responses are part of the real-time reporting functionality.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, I think we're good, Nick. If there's anything further, I'll give you a call back, okay, on the landline.
Cindy, appreciate it. Everyone in the audience, thanks for your time today. Scott and I certainly appreciate it, and we hope to hear from you soon, Cindy. Let me know if there's anything else you need from us.
Great, thank you. Bye.
Thanks very much, folks. We appreciate your time.
Bye-bye. You guys hit the lights. So, your job today is to make a decision based on those two. What are your thoughts?
What's the cost?
So the costs are in your proposals. If you take a look at the Everbridge is willing to do, we have $62,000 in our budget for this, and they will give us 9 years for the 62,000. It's all inclusive, and Rave Alert will give us about 6.5 years. So there's the difference. Plus, there's a 9,000 extra mobile that Everbridge offered us that's included with that.
Translation service for languages.
They have the pre-thing where you can actually get people to pre-message it, but they did not have the button where you can push Spanish. Let me double check here. It must be typed into pre-recorded voice, but pre-registration would be needed. Can attach a voice recorder. So if you have a flood thing, you can actually have somebody say that in Spanish, and they can choose to say, I need it in Spanish when they register, and they would get that Spanish version. But yeah, that was the difference there.
Have you checked with any clients from either one of these guys?
Yes, I've done multiple. So to give you an idea, is I've done 10 different companies. I went through 10 different companies. I did Code Red, Ad Hoc, Alert OC, City Watch, Blank, Nixle, Alert Sense, Blackboard, Everbridge, and Rave Alert. And these two came up on top based on what our discussion was, what we're looking for in Delaware County. And I've gone through and got 6 different references for both of these. Really good references. Everbridge does more emergency management counties. You know, like what we're talking about, you know, Jeremy has that at Sutter Coast. They have Oakland, they have El Dorado County, different things like that. Rave is more of a college base. It started college base, and they've only gotten the emergency management into counties in the last year, and they're really based in Oregon and Washington, and they're trying to get their foot in the door in California.
So you did all the research, yeah.
Yes, I've got 6 really good references for both of these as the top 2. And I really did not get negative feedback from anybody that I called that they gave me a reference, which I was not surprised. But they had, you know, like Everbridge, to give a push on, I'm leaning more towards Everbridge. And the reason I'm leaning more towards Everbridge is it's more user-friendly, I believe, looking at both sites. But they also have been in it longer, and they know emergency management more than Rave does. I think they got a good product. I think Rave has a good product because it really hits on that special populations. But for what we want, I think with the small amount that you can register with Everbridge as special populations, it does the same thing. It just doesn't go extensive into diabetes and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. We, you know, so that's my take on it.
Did Everbridge volunteer to do the public awareness type thing?
Yes, that's all included in that campaign also. They will come in and do a whole custom whole thing and work with us on doing the rollout of this whole thing.
Yeah, that's a huge part of it.
They have 20 plus hours of training for their employees. There's a support staff is over 300 plus support staff just alone, not sales, which was important to me. I thought was important. Other questions, other comments?
Rave mentioned that they put out content, educational content. I didn't hear that from Everbridge. Do they have a model in there that puts out educational content?
No, they didn't really talk about that. That's something I could ask them. They do have the Everbridge Training University, so everybody can go in there and get trained. But they do work with us in updates, you know, every 6 months like the Rave Alert did, and campaigns. So if we want to do a campaign and it's Tsunami Awareness Week, they would get involved, and that's all included in their cost. Yes.
For long-term contracts, is there a get-out clause on either one of them?
A get-out clause, like
Which
we
means
paid.
if all of a sudden we find out they're not worth it, and in 2 years, there's a newfangled thing we want to go to, can we, whatever amount we haven't spent for that 9 years,
I don't-
say we want that money back?
I don't think so, because it would be a grant. The reason we're doing it so far out is the grant funding would have to be spent by that year. And we would lose that money. It would go back to the feds or state if we go back on our grants. So this is being paid for out of EMPG, which has to be spent by June 30th this year. If we don't spend it, then it goes back.
Well, that's understandable, no, but it gets in, but in 2 years, we find out the system is not working. We've paid them for 9.5 years, so theoretically, they're paid to a set amount of money for us.
Yeah, I guess the answer would be.
We can go to something else.
Yeah, I guess that if they did do that, I can ask, because I asked about the pre-alert. Every one of these want to do only yearly,
Right.
but they both will go out in advance and bill
Right.
ahead of time
There's an
because of the
annual fee.
grant. Yeah.
So for that next 9 years, in 2 years, will they refund us 7 years worth of annual fee? repeat?
I don't know, that would be a question, but if they did refund it, it would have to go back to the state. We would not get that money back. It would go back to the grant funding.
You know, the reason I asked about trial period, what kind of responded gave was 60 days trial. Is that something they could?
They don't do that because I am responding is like, we agree on our groups. We put our groups in there. If these guys, if we were to do that with these guys, it's the public that's signing up and things like that. So it's two different, it's an apples to orange type of thing. They're two
There's
different
way too
companies.
much to do to just try it for 60 days and say, no, we think we'll try somebody else.
But there's a lot of input to it. That's why, I mean, the
Yeah.
community versus I'm just sending out SWAT. I'm just signing up our EOC staff and I am responding. There's a big difference.
The follow-up, the follow-up that Rave had for renewing your data and information, I didn't see that with the Everbridge, but could you build that into the system?
Oh, yes. We could, I mean, we could do I'm sure you could. I would have to double check with her on that. I don't think I
But there was
ever
one-
asked her that.
And then what about the bridge to like the social media aspect on Everbridge, which the Rave had? It seems like we're doing more and more with social media, especially here in the community.
Yeah, and
Like
Heather did the research on that, and she liked Everbridge. She pushed me to go towards Everbridge about a year ago because of that they will update your Facebook and update all that stuff. So I know Everbridge does that.
So they're both doing it.
They're both doing that.
Cindy?
Yeah.
One of the big questions in Commander Akey's brought up a couple of times, but the auto throttle on, shrinking down or expanding, isn't that a big advantage for Ray? Because the otherwise, you as administrator with Everbridge would have to do it yourself.
No, Everbridge does it too.
Just
So they have that
automatically
ability.
then?
Yeah, well, first they test it before they go live, when they pre-populate, that type of stuff. But they can actually, they have a dispatch center that monitors it, and if all of a sudden they're starting to get too many busy signals, just like Rave does, they throttle back automatically. Based on it. So let's say we have an earthquake right now, and everybody started calling their mother to see if they were okay. And then we sent out alert at the same time, they would start getting, if they started getting busy signals, they'd be going, and they believe that that's a reason that they're getting a busy signal, because there's too many people on the phone lines, it automatically will dial back on both of those. The difference is Everbridge has dispatch centers that watch that live and alert them and flash at them and go red if they're getting too many of them and they throttle back.
Follow up on that too. One thing Ray was saying is how they get their phone system through. It's on the priority, same as our CATS card. Does Evergreen or Everbridge do that too, where it goes through a priority so it cuts out the other phone calls?
Yeah, they do. And they also are the only ones that have that level 3 endorsed for national security. So, you got FEMA and those guys that use Everbridge. But they have the gift card. I have that big note right there.
Ray mentioned something about going out to senior centers and inputting. That seems like a big negative. Was that for about the person's specific information?
Yeah, I think we have to do that with both though, because Everbridge can only pre-populate certain things too. And so we're gonna have to have that initial, they'll do all the advertising and help with that, and that's all included in the pricing. But we're gonna have to go out into the senior center and set up a couple of computers and say, okay, this is the time, you guys, we're gonna be here from this time to this time, if you need help, just like tax time. These elderly people come out to do this, that type of stuff. We would have to be a big push to try to get all this done.
And neither one of these are gonna work if we don't have the community signing up.
Absolutely. And that's going to be huge. And that's why these both have really good, proactive, come into your community, help you with all the advertising, all that type of stuff. But it will take us doing the work. And no company has all the lists for cell phones, all that type of stuff. They just don't. They can pre-populate the white pages only. Yes.
So,
Yes.
really the big issue that I'm seeing between the two is it sounds like Everbridge isn't multilingual.
Everbridge is the one that must be typed into pre-recorded voice.
So we have to have
Brave,
somebody capable of doing that.
yeah, versus Brave, you can push Spanish and it'll do it for you. They don't have mom, no.
They don't have mom?
No. Oh, yes, they did. They had mom.
Put a simple workaround, if you gotta put something in text real fast, go to Google, type in your phrase, have them convert to Spanish, copy and paste, throw it in, there you go. So there's a workaround to it.
Well, it's pretty easy to find somebody, a Spanish-speaking person. I could see one would be a little bit tough.
That's where you have to pre-report.
Just seems like an extra step.
I
just wanted
think,
to point that out.
I think we absolutely would want canned messages though, in both of these. You know, like he had up on there, you'd want those canned messages for, you know, we have a flood advisory, blah, blah, blah. We've had, you know, those disasters that we always have, those, you know, power outages or such and such, and then tweak it a little bit, but.
All right,
Yeah.
I have a question. So, if you have not a big sign up, do you have a feeling in the maps and the interface and all that, when you look at it, where the areas are that people are signing up or not signing up?
I think you could easily see that, yeah, I think you could easily see that, yeah. I'll give you reports. It's gonna take, it's a process, and we're not the only county that's gone through this process. Like I said, you know, my mom signed up in Minnesota, and it was a very quickly, she doesn't have a computer, but what she did is she went to a senior center and just had them sign up for her. She sat right there and they did it, boom, and it was done. And my mom is not tech savvy, I can just tell you that. But they believe it's important. And our community has been voicing for years now, they want that way to be notified. And we haven't given it to them before. And we are lagging in Delaware County because of that, with that whole thing. And that's why you guys chose to make that a priority this year.
So Cindy, if everybody decided to go with Ray, they have the same capabilities like the IM responding, like I was talking
They do.
about, still do the same
Mhm.
thing.
They do.
And that would replace IM responding then?
It would, if you choose to. Like Crescent Fire, City Fire, we talked a little bit about that. They could choose to use their iron responding if they wanted. But this could also replace that, and they wouldn't have to have that funding that iron responding does. Whatever we do, iron responding is going away for the Emergency Operational Center. Ours expires June of this year, and that's $5,000 extra that we can save. And it does exactly the same thing. And I can pre-populate it with what we already have in our system, so it's not gonna take anybody doing anything extra. The only difference is it's gonna be, that what iron responding does is they send it out on a blast, where these guys do is they do that real-time texting, that real, instead of, you know, so many characters, you know, that type of thing. What's that called? The SMTP versus the true SMX text. They use the SMX text versus the other. I'm responding just uses SMTP.
When dispatch though generates those messages that go out to like the fire, that's going through I am responding, but so I'm still unclear about if we're going to be able to make that, adapt that system to make it work. So right now, it's a dispatcher just hit a button, and we send electronic information that I am responding. I know the last guy said they couldn't. We would have to contact Everbridge to see if that was.
That link before the.
There's a way that they can receive an electronic file, which is what we said. To automatically generate a message and not have to go through their interface. That would slow down dispatchers tremendously if they have to do that.
Yeah, or it seemed like it was calling the chief officer or the chief to send out that message to his department.
Yeah,
Is that kind of how you see it?
Well, it could be. It just depends on if they can copy and paste the CAD or if the CAD information can automatically be uploaded, which is what happens now.
We prefer.
I mean, it's 2 mouse clicks in dispatch to send us a text message right now.
Yeah, it's just
That's
not
all the
automatic.
effort.
But you have to be able to put in the information and enter it. Then it goes up here. Once it reloads, it loads up in there. Then you have to click Metro or whatever, and then hit send.
But you type it once into the CAD from the call,
Right.
and it's not typed again. We get the exact CAD typed into the dispatch.
Depends on how easy that whole little kind of a screen it would look like.
Right, if there's a process for that.
I can see real problems
Yeah.
if you get this new system and keep IM responding. I can see real confusion down there at dispatch.
Well, I can see I'm responding is probably gonna go away because we want to keep paying for it.
Well, it has a lot
Right now,
more,
OES pays for it, so.
but we pay for it, and it has a lot more features that have nothing to do with what you guys are
Right.
trying to do that we
Tracking
use.
trainings and
Correct.
things
Right,
like that.
expiration dates, it has a lot of other features, so, it could be that we keep it,
Right.
want to keep it.
And then it also opens up to those fire departments that can't afford iron responding,
Right.
it's free. And it gives them something that they don't have. Okay, sorry, yes.
Once we compile all these lists of
private information and medical information and everything. Who owns that? And-
That's a good
And where is
question.
it stored
Yeah.
and security and
That's a
liability?
good question, and the details are, it's not held in Delaware County. The information is not here because we want to keep it out of the county. But it's completely up to the administrators. So that information is controlled by the administrators. And then that information is ours when we walk. So we own that information. And that was one of the big questions is if we wanted to stop at 5 years and go to a different company, would we have to redo all this all over again with our public? But no, that information, everything that they've already done would come with us. Both companies.
What kind of system is it stored in? I mean, can it easily be hacked? Is it something that we gotta?
No. These are very confidential. Like I said, Everbridge, FEMA uses them. You know, I mean, they're the highest. The difference between security-wise, Everbridge has the only level 3 endorsed, and that's national security. They have national security clearance for Everbridge. That's a plus for Everbridge, which is great. But both are very confidential.
I would never say that couldn't be hacked. I mean, if
No,
somebody
I've
got hacked,
never-
the browser got hacked.
What I'm saying, they're the only provider that has level 3 provider endorsed.
Level 3 sounds pretty fancy.
That's true. When they have national security, that's pretty good. Okay, we need to get rolling on this, and we need to make a decision.
I looked into them and looked at a bunch of reviews online, and Everbridge by far has more reviews. They're out there more. It's more in our realm, I think. And they're in California, and I think that's important. So my inclination is to go with Everbridge.
The only negative thing then is just a multi-language thing, and that's something we
That's
can
it.
work around then.
I think it's something we can work around.
It's all,
I think we pre-record in Spanish
Pre-record,
and Hmong, you know, and, you know, if we have something, and like I said, the all hell is going to be that second thing that has to react right now. It's the flooding that's going to take a couple days, we're going to use REC or whatever. Find somebody that speaks Spanish and record it and send it out.
This is something they might develop.
Maybe. Let's see. I asked about multi-language capabilities. It says must be typed into pre-recorded voice, but pre-registration would be needed if they want to, you know, if they choose to always get it in Spanish, it will come to them in Spanish. Okay, so let's do a vote. Are you ready for that? Are we at that point? Okay, so raise your hand if you want Everbridge. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Raise your hand if you want Rave Mobile Safety. Okay, we have more than 25 people. Okay, but it's a clear winner for Everbridge then. And so the idea with these now is we're going to move forward on this very rapidly. And we're going to get this purchase done as quick as the county can do this. Neil and I have already talked about how quick the purchase can go with this. Because the idea is March 25th is the live code testing. And, you know, last year we had the tsunami, evacuations the whole week, right? Well, this year, what I want to do for March 25th, the live code, is we're going to still test the emergency alert and everything, but let's test the mass notifications. So by then, we will do all this publicity, everything we can do to get as many people signed up by March 25th, and then test it during that evacuation, or during that live code test.
That was when we reached out to Everbridge, you might share our concern that the one thing that we kind of debated on was the translation.
Yeah,
feature.
exactly, so
You know, that may, over the next 9 years, maybe there's something.
maybe it's something that they can work on, absolutely.
Not that feedback.
Yeah, okay, so I've lost my pages. Okay, so, I have a question. Healthcare and Ebola update. Just to let you know, I mean, Ebola is staying quiet, which yay for us, or yay for everybody. But one thing that was decided is that we are going to continue with our Healthcare Coalition meetings. You guys are absolutely welcome to attend. They're going to be the first Thursday every other month, and the next meeting being March 5th at 10 o'clock at Crescent Fire. And so they're always going to be every other month, the first Thursday at 10 o'clock at Crescent Fire, if you're interested. And this is just a good way for us to address other things, but we're also going to bring in some healthcare guest speakers and things like that as things come across. So we're going to keep that going. The other thing, I'm going to put off the full-scale exercise discussion until next time, because it's going to be too much. Live code, we just talked a little bit about, but Troy, can you update us anything special with live code that we need to know about from March?
Well, I think compared to last year, this year is really simple for you guys. So it's essentially an EES test, a notification test, and if you use your mass notification, that'd be fantastic.
And the flyover, we've told them that if you want to, just fly right on by Delmore, that's fine, and really concentrate on Humboldt and Mendo, that's fine with us. Over the years, depending on who's doing the most, we try to get the airplane up there for the civil alerts, so I've told them if Mendo's gonna do something heavier and Humboldt's gonna do something heavier, just go that way instead of using Delmore. I don't think it's that huge. They really concentrated on last year, or were going to when the weather went down, but that was gonna be the big deal. The other thing is grants. We are coming to the end of Homeland Security, which is a 2-year grant from last year, from the year before, so we have to get those monies spent. So if you've not spent it, you need to get rolling on it or call me so that we can make sure that you've spent it. And then we are ending EMPG June 30th. So if you have anything with EMPG, we need to get those spent. And then Homeland Security, still got another year, so it's not a big deal. So this is a push to start spending. And then Redwood Coast County Work Groups. So we welcome them to the table. I'm sorry that you guys had to come to a mass notification one. It usually doesn't go this long. But some of the things Lori wanted to cover, Troy and Vicki, you guys are up.
Okay, cool. So I guess this is the end of your operational area meeting, right? So people may start leaving. So before you leave the operational area meeting, and before I guess we call to order the Redwood Coast County Work Group meeting, my name is Troy McLeany with the National Weather Service. I'm co-chair of the work group. My colleague Vicki is on the National Park. And we have the honor of presenting the 2014 Community Leader Award to Cindy and Prepare Delmar County, Prepare Delmar, for your fantastic work last year leading up to the Preparedness Week. So, and is that not classic, Cindy? This is a team award, and we actually made it a team award. Usually it's an individual award. We made it a team award because we know how Cindy feels. So.
Very important, very important. A lot of people put their work into last year. That was really good. Thank you.
We made it blue for tsunami.
Okay.
So well done.
Okay, so we are going to end the Area Ops EOC meeting. Our next one is March 5th, but please stay for the Redwood Coast County Work Group meeting if you would like. We're going to talk a little bit about the Japan visit and the meeting and the kids here, or else I will see you next month.
Hold on, you said March 5th, and here it says next meeting is April 2nd.
Oh, sorry. March 5th is the Area Ops meeting, and then April 2nd is the EOC meeting. You are actually at the EOC meeting right now, I did a combination because I wanted to get all of your opinion on it. So the first Thursday of every month, we have a meeting.
And for anybody who wants to possibly stay, I'll quickly tell you what we're going to cover. We're going to cover multi-hazard signs, to cover tsunami and other beach hazards. We're going to do a quick summary on the Japanese visit and harbor playbooks for addressing harbor safety. This is out of the state of California, so we're going to share that. So those are some of the topics. I think that's it. So in case any of those are interesting,
So we all can get a little bit closer, okay?
come this way if that sounds good. Go that way if it doesn't.
I didn't do it.